we can find in the dialogue and the performance and how it's written as well in Blue Moon. How was the search of the right voice, the right rhythm for Lorenz Hart?
You know, it's really a great question because when we really first started working on the film, Linklater and I kind of had this realization that the whole movie needed to feel like a Rodgers and Hart song. And we spent a lot of time listening. We were listening to Ella Fitzgerald's Sings the Rodgers and Hart songbook. And we knew the movie, that basically the filmmaking needed to be Rodgers. It needed to be strong, authorial, have muscular, and that my job was to do the lyrics and to kind of dance around the top of a well-built architectural building, you know? And and if we did that, we could make like a 90-minute Rodgers and Hart song. Funny, poignant, all those strange elements of their music.
Mhm. You're a Broadway veteran. Do you think Blue Moon might be the performance of yours that reflects the most your love for theater and your experience there?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I from the first time people keep asking me like why did I want to do this part? I wanted to do it so badly. From the first time I read
Mhm.
it, I saw myself completely as this guy, and I think it had to do with the way I grew up loving the theater. The At a very base level, the movie is a little love letter to the theatrical arts. It's such a beautiful moment where musical theater was changing in the middle of the war. It's a fascinating moment in artistic history, art history. Um, and I don't know, the theater has always been my first love. I've been at a million of these opening night parties. So to get to play
Mhm.
one out, it felt very personal to me.
Mhm. I don't think you're one of these characters that loves to do all the time physical transformations, but you have one here with the hair, with the aging makeup. How did that help you shape your character?
Well, when I was younger, I would have been completely allergic to doing something like this. It wasn't something that interested me, but slowly over the years, I have gotten interested in it, and it, I, it's fascinating thing to do to put on clothes you would never wear, look away you would never want to look, behave a way you would never want to behave, but to really try to invite another personality into your body. And it is part of the art of acting. And what's beautiful about it is that you realize that all these people aren't as unique as they feel. We feel our experiences as tremendously unique, but all of us are going through very similar emotional states, and we can understand what it's like to be other people. We really can wear their clothes, as it were.
Mhm. I know you've seen in the background that I have two posters of Joan Woodward and Paul Newman, but I remember that when you were out in the last movie stars, you were talking a lot about method acting and the way that actors act. I'm curious about your discussion with yourself and with Richard about how to play Lorenz Hart.
Well, Rick says this thing that I think is really true, which is that it was kind of a usually in a performance, it's an additive thing. You're adding this and you're adding that. And with this, it was almost a deductive or a reductive process where we were stripping away, at least beginning in rehearsal. It was Rick knows me really well. This is the ninth time he's directed me, and he told me early on that he doesn't want to see me. Um, and so it started to be a kind of exercise in trying to figure out what were identifiers of my personality and getting rid of them, and and then what were identifiers of Larry's personality and enhancing them. And yeah, the physical things, the eyes, the makeup, that really helps get you started, like to feel you can start to imagine yourself as a different person.
Mhm. It's been 30 years since your first movie with Richard. What has changed and what remains the same in that unique partnership?
What is absolutely, I think, would be shocking to my 24-year-old self is how little we've changed. I mean, yeah, physically and everything we've changed, but he still feels like the same person I met. His brain is so curious and so humble and passionate, uh, and he's an absolute joy to be around. And so I can't really. The thing that's shocking to me is how much time has gone by because I feel like inside we're the same people.
Mhm. And what do you think makes him such a unique director? Because he does so different films. For example, in Spain this week, it's the opening week for Nouvelle Vague, which is so different from Blue Moon, despite being set in the same era, more or less.
Yeah, fascinating, right? He always saw them as sister projects. I'm his friend too, so I've been hearing about Nouvelle Vague for years. And one is about the artist at the beginning of a career, in the first blush of love with art, and the other one is a howl into the night at the end of a career. Yeah, and they kind of operate as a yin and yang. One's cinema, one's theater. Uh, and I just think it's his endless curiosity. He's extremely patient, extremely curious, unsuperficial person, and I think that's what drives him.
Mhm. Loves to talk about time in his movies, also in the movies that you have guys made together. How do you relate to time? Because you have been doing movies for 40 years now. How do you see time and how does that impact the choices that you make?
It's really, as a performer, what is so awesome in about the theater is
Mhm.
it's an art form that lives in the present moment, and that's what I really love about it. It brings the audience and the actor into this moment, what's happening on stage right this second, with the audience, at the world outside, right? And in movies are really, they're almost immediately nostalgic. It's about capturing a moment and what the subject and the environment, how they relate to time passing. And it's like a photograph of a rose or something. It's that moment, not the and uh and so Rick and I have always, for since we first met, have been talking about cinema's relationship to time, and that manifests in Boyhood and the Before trilogy, and even in Blue Moon, because Blue Moon is all about one tiny moment in time and how it's almost like a scientific vivisection of society just in this one tiny moment. And so it's somehow, photography has a relationship to time that is intrinsic. It's just there in the back of your brain. And I think Rick is just, since I first met him, he's been obsessed with what is time? What is it? You know, like a physicist, he's kind of thinking about it always.
Mhm. I don't see you as, as an actor who works for winning awards, but you are getting a lot of recognition for this film. How does it feel to be recognized for a film by Richard? This film particularly, how you're living all this buzz.
If it was ever going to happen for me, this would be the way that I would want it to happen, just because I've spent so much of my life working with Rick that it feels good. I try not to think about those things too seriously, but to see all these movies and see all of us as little ambassadors of film, the more we can get people to care about the movies, then the more relevant the art form is, and the more little movies win awards, the more little movies will get made. And by little, I just mean movies that aren't about
Mhm.
money. Um, and so I try to, just fight the good fight. And it feels, obviously we all love praise. But I understand, I've made enough movies that people didn't like, and or that I thought were great that didn't relate, that I don't see it really as a barometer, a metric of whether or not an artist that did their job right, but it's more of a metric of how what you're doing is intersecting with what people want to be seeing and talking about and thinking about. And when you can do both, when you can do a good job and it can connect with an audience, it feels tremendous.
Mhm. There's something really generational about your body of work. It's funny because two of my closest friends have films of yours as their favorite film. They are Gattaca and Great Expectations. They're not even like the most cool, but people love your films. Um, what movies they bring up to you when you meet people in the street? What do they talk to you about?
You know, different movies. That's what's wild about having a 40-year career is, and what if somebody comes up to me and wants to talk about Great Expectations, my eyes light up, but they kind of do for every there's a part of whenever you're making a movie, you get obsessed with it about trying to make it work, trying to make it connect with people. And whenever somebody clearly did connect with it, it kind of brings me back to that moment when I was passionate about that film, and it makes me feel like I'm their friend. It's a, but I don't. I, the movies are so varied. You know, Training Day really was it was seen by a lot of people, and then there's other strange little movies I did that very few people saw, but then sometimes they're really passionate about those movies.
Mhm. Lorenz Hart is worried about legacy. Do you think about that now that you're getting to a certain age, like you have a lot of experience behind you?
Yeah, you know, I I think those thoughts about legacy and things like that are kind of a waste of time. I I like to be in conversation with people right now while I'm alive. I don't really,
Mhm.
you know, I kind of feel like the the arts function as a kind of collective unconscious. It's what I love about cinema. It's like almost it's like a world we're in conversation with each other through all these movies. Um, and the quality of the movies is determines the quality of the conversation, and a great conversation can change lives, you know, and you know, destructive, stupid conversations can do the same. And so I try to not think too much about words like legacy. Just I don't even know. I don't know. It's also fascinating, like when you study the arts that mean the most to each one of us, whatever it is. Oftentimes, the things that mean the most to us, to the people making them, that was just one Wednesday, you know, when they made this funny little movie or this strange little song, and and sometimes it surprises the artist which ones last, you know. So
There's a quote that I love about from Carmen Maura, the leading star of Almodóvar films,
uh,
that says that you have to work a lot because people don't remember the bad movies. Do you agree with that?
yeah, one of my favorite quotes is a William Holden quote. It was to a young actor, and he said, "Look, just do every part you can. 1 in 10 will be good, and 1 in 100 will get you an Academy Award."
That's funny. That's funny. This week you have been hyping up your next film with Linklater. What can you tell us what you love about the film without spoiling it? Yeah, I know you can say much.
Yeah, you know, I just love Linklater's brain, and he's, you know, he has an idea to make a film that I think will be funny and speak lovingly towards what a complicated time we're living in right now. And and there's something in, you know, in the Before trilogy or Waking Life, there's a bit of a philosopher to Rick, and he's kind of got an ode to philosophy. It's going to be exciting, and I think there's something confusing to me about the internet and the Tower of Babel, this time period we've been living through, uh, where it feels like things are changing. The way that we're thinking and the way that we're talking to each other is changing really fast. And he has an idea of a movie that might slow everything down in a way that might be thrilling.
Mhm. And one quick question. You have worked with Pedro Almodóvar and Alejandro Amenábar. I'm curious if you had the chance to watch Sirat,
I have
the Spanish
wanted to
film.
see it so badly. There's like 3 or 4 that are still on my list, and I've seen the trailer a couple times, and it looks phenomenal. Have you seen it?
Yes, I loved it. I watched it before Cannes. They did like a sneak peek, and it's wow, breathtaking. Yeah.
It looks that way. I can't wait to see it.
Well, Ethan, it's been a pleasure. Congratulations for the movie, and good luck with all that's going on right now.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Is that
Bye-bye.
behind you? Wait, is that Jim Carrey movie? Is that is that
It's the Truman
Truman
Show,
Show?
and then
The
the
Paul and Joanne,
poster
I
of the
think.
Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yes, and one like funny picture with Paul Newman with his fake Oscar and Joan Budar
It's
with the real
Oscar.
one.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's awesome.
yes.
Because that picture you have of Paul and Joanne is my favorite picture of them. And Truman Show is Peter Weir's greatest film, I think.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, and with Andrew Nichols, I love Gattaca as well. I
Yeah,
think
me too. Me
it's
too.
amazing.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye
All
bye.
right, Danny. Thank you so much.